You ever stop to think about what happens when you type a website into your browser and hit enter? I mean, poof, the page just appears. It feels like total magic. But it's not magic. It's this incredible, invisible system working behind the scenes, kind of like the internet's ultimate address book. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that system. We're talking about DNS.
Seriously, just think about that for a second. Your computer has to find one single server among, what, billions of devices connected to the internet? Because, the internet isn't some magical cloud up in the sky. It's a real physical network of computers. So how in the world does your device pinpoint the exact digital street address it's looking for?
Well, the core of that whole mystery really comes down to a translation problem. It's a classic case of humans and computers just speaking completely different languages.
Okay, so here's the deal. We humans, we think in words, right? We remember catchy, easy names like Google.com. But computers? Nah, they think in numbers. They need a very specific IP address. That unique string of digits that's basically the street address for every single server on the internet. The big question is, how do we possibly bridge that gap between our language and theirs?
And the answer is this really elegant and totally essential system called the Domain Name System, or DNS for short. The best way to think about it is like it's the internet's ultimate librarian, or maybe a global address book. Its one and only job is to translate the names we use into the numbers that computers need. So what does that translation journey actually look like? Well, picture this. It's basically a four-step relay race. First, your computer asks something called a recursive resolver for the address. If that resolver doesn't know it off the top of its head, it goes and asks a root server. Now, the root server doesn't have the final answer either, but it knows who to ask next, the TLD server. That's the server in charge of the .com or the .org part, and then finally, that TLD server points to the authoritative server, which is the one that has the actual IP address we've been looking for. It sends that answer all the way back down the chain to your computer.
Phew!
That first stop in the chain, the recursive resolver? It's kind of the unsung hero of this whole story. That quote nails it. It's the librarian of the internet. It takes our simple request and then does all the legwork for us, running around to find the right book, or in this case, the right IP address, so we don't have to lift a finger. But of course, there's a catch. There's always a catch, right? That four-step relay race is super thorough, but it takes time. Now imagine your computer having to do that for every single element on a web page. We're talking every image, every little piece of code. The internet would just grind to a halt.
It all comes down to speed. We expect websites to load instantly. If your computer had to do that full four-server lookup for every single thing on a page, the web would feel unbelievably slow, sluggish. The system absolutely needed a shortcut.
And that's where this brilliant little piece of engineering comes into play. It's called DNS caching. Just think of it as a temporary cheat sheet, or maybe a short-term memory for your computer and the network.
The concept is actually super simple. Once your computer goes through all that trouble to find an IP address, why not just, write it down somewhere close by? And that's exactly what the DNS cache is. It's a local, temporary list of domain names and the IP addresses you've looked up recently. That way, the next time you visit, it's pretty much instantaneous. And get this cheat sheet isn't just in one single place. It's actually a layered system, which is pretty clever. First, your web browser checks its own little cache. If the answer's not there, it checks your computer's operating system cache. Still no luck? Okay, then it checks your router or even your internet provider's cache. It's only if the answer isn't in any of these local spots that it bothers to do that full four-step journey we talked about earlier.
Okay, but wait. What if a website's IP address changes? That happens. We can't trust old, cached information forever, right? That would be a mess. Well, that problem is managed by something called a time to live, or TTL. Basically, it's an expiration date measured in seconds that tells the cache exactly how long it should trust a record before it has to be thrown out and checked again.
So how does this TTL work in the real world? Well, it's all a balancing act. Let's say you have a really stable site that almost never changes. It might have a super long TTL, like maybe a full day, 86,400 seconds. That maximizes speed. But a really dynamic service, one that needs to redirect traffic all the time, might have a very, very short TTL, maybe just 5 minutes. It's this constant trade-off between getting top performance and having the most up-to-date information possible.
Okay, so this whole caching system is incredibly efficient, right? But it's not foolproof, and it actually introduces a whole new potential problem.
What happens when the information that's saved in that handy little cache is just, well, plain wrong?
Have you ever had this happen? You get a 404 not found error for a website you know is online. Or maybe you see an old, outdated version of a web page. That is often a stale cache at work. Your computer's holding on to old info. But there's a much more dangerous problem out there, and it's called DNS spoofing.
DNS spoofing, some people call it cache poisoning, is a really serious security risk. Here's how it works. It's when an attacker manages to sneak a fake record into your DNS cache. So, for example, they could trick your computer into thinking your bank's website is at a malicious IP address. You type in the correct domain name, you think you're safe, but that bad cache entry sends you to a perfect fake site that's designed to steal your login info. Scary stuff.
So, what can you do about this? If you're seeing strange connection errors or you just suspect something isn't quite right, what's the move? Thankfully, there's a really simple and super effective solution that you can do all by yourself. It's called flushing your DNS cache. This is basically like hitting the reset button on that whole temporary database of stored lookups. Now, the exact steps are going to be a little different depending on your operating system or your browser, but the idea is always the same. You just find the option to clear or flush the cache, and you run the command.
And here's the magic of why that works. Flushing the cache forces your computer to completely forget everything it thought it knew about website addresses. So the very next time you visit a site, it has no choice but to perform a brand new, full DNS lookup from scratch. This guarantees you're getting the absolute latest, most correct, and most importantly, the safest IP address straight from the source.
All right, so we've spent all this time establishing the one name to one number rule. It seems pretty solid. But what if I told you that the biggest websites on the internet, they just break that rule completely? A single domain name can actually point to dozens, maybe even hundreds of different IP addresses all at the same time. I know, right? How is that even possible?
Well, it's done with this really clever networking technique called Anycast. See, huge services like Netflix or Google, they have servers spread out all over the world. With Anycast, all of those servers can share the exact same IP address. So when you make a request, the network is smart enough to automatically route you to the server that's physically closest to you. That's how someone in London can stream a video just as fast as someone in Tokyo. It just crushes lag.
And really, that just brings it all home, doesn't it? DNS is this beautiful, incredibly complex, and, for the most part, totally invisible system that's just quietly humming in the background, making our entire online experience possible. It's a perfect example of these hidden protocols that power our digital world. It kind of makes you wonder, right? What other amazing systems are out there working perfectly behind the scenes that we take for granted every single day?